Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, I'm going to be showing you one of the most fun decks in the expanded Pokemon format. It is Trubbish and Garbodor. Now, Garbodor, we all know, big deck in standard. In fact, big decks with Espeon, with Drampa, with Golisopod. But here, he's very much a kind of secondary late-game attacker. No, ladies and gentlemen, the focus in this deck, or at least the initial focus, is all about Trubbish. Tool Drop Trubbish, to be precise. And there is so much synergy in this deck, ladies and gentlemen. It is absolutely beautiful. So what we do is we start off with the Tool Drop Trubbish, named as such because of the attack Tool Drop. Now, it is rotated out of the standard format. It is expanded only. For a Psychic Energy and a Colorless Energy, you do 20 damage for every Pokemon tool attached to any Pokemon in play. So if you've got 10 tools attached to your Pokemon and your opponent's got 12 tools in total, you're doing 240 damage. That sounds like an awful lot of fun. And of course, although it is for 2 energy, you can use Dimension Valley here, which removes the colorless attack cost and means you are in fact doing this for a single Psychic Energy. Now, in the mid to late game, your opponent is playing all of their startling Megaphone, getting rid of your tools and all of that. You're in a bad position. What do? In comes Garbodor. You see, the problem is, in the early game, your opponent is unlikely to have played many items, so Garbodor's Trash Avalanche isn't doing very much damage. Whereas in the late game, your opponent may well have gotten rid of all of your tools, so you're not doing much damage with Trubbish. And think of this like a relay race, where Trubbish just passes the baton to Garbodor, and off you go. And of course, Trash Avalanche, again, is usable for just a single Psychic Energy. Ladies and gentlemen, it works beautifully. Now, there is one other Pokemon that is absolutely crucial in this deck. It is the Toolbox Sigilith, so named for the Toolbox ability. You can attach up to 4 Pokemon tools to this Pokemon. Now, what you don't want to do is just be putting all of your tools onto Sigilith, because the problem is that if your opponent turns off the ability, maybe by playing Garbodor, maybe by playing a Hex Maniac, or even just KOs the Sigilith, then you lose all of those tools. I say all of those tools. Remember that the ability says you can have up to 4 tools, but of course, you can actually have 1 tool on without the ability, so if Sigilith's ability gets turned off, you get to keep 1 tool. And this is how the deck works. In the early game, you're rocking with Trubbish, using Dimension Valley to use Tool Drop, and Sigilith to keep your tools. In the mid to late game, your opponent has gotten all the tools off by turning off Sigilith's ability, playing a Megaphone, whatever, but by doing so, they've had to play a whole bunch of item cards. In comes Garbodor to clean up. It's a lot of fun. Now, there are some issues with the deck. The first issue, and I've kind of alluded to this already, Startling Megaphone. The problem with Startling Megaphone is it gets rid of all of your tools. Yeah, which means that you will only be doing 20 damage for every tool on your opponent's side of the field. The thing is, most people aren't playing this in Expanded at the moment. There was an Expanded Regional in Fort Wayne at the weekend. I've seen 4 of the top 8 deck lists. They all played 1 Field Blower. Now, Field Blower's slightly annoying in that it gets rid of 2 of your tools. But I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't get rid of all of your tools, and you might legitimately have 10 tools down on the field. As a side note, ladies and gentlemen, you do not want to put all of your tools just onto your Sigilith, because if you put all the tools on Sigilith, then your opponent can get rid of them by turning off the ability. The ideal situation here is that you put 1 tool on each of your Pokemon, and then you put the extra on Sigilif. You really don't want to be put in a position where a single Hex Maniac gets rid of all of the tools on your Sigilif, or all but one, because, ability puts it from 1 to 4, and then you're in a terrible position for the end game. Right, with that out of the way, Megaphone, bit of a problem, but nobody's playing it. People are playing Field Blower, and that helps you out immensely here, because people want to be playing Field Blower to get rid of Stadium cards, which plays into your hand. Yeah, I know Dimension Valley's an issue. And look, in the mid to late game, you're probably going to run out of Dimension Valley. Between Counter Stadiums and Field Blower, there's a very good chance you will be out of Dimension Valley. But like I've said, when you get to the stage where you're out of Dimension Valley, or you run out of tools or whatever, that's where Garbodor comes in. The other potential issue here is that there is item lock in Expanded. Now, it's not ruling Expanded like it has in previous years. Certainly, with Forest of Giant Plants getting banned in Expanded, that means that Vileplume is less of an issue than it was before. We've still got Trevenant. We've still got Seismitoad, but it's less of an issue than it was before. Although Ability Lock really, really hurts your Trubbish here. You still got Garbodor, but shall we say it's a bit of an issue. You could, since you're going to be playing a boatload of tools anyway, what you could do here is just play one of the Ability Lock Garbodor, just to turn off Trevenant's ability, and you could play Pokemon Ranger to turn off the Ability Lock from Seismitoad. Of course, yes, I know playing the Ability Lock Garbodor will turn off your Sigilif, but if it's that or you don't get to put any items down, it's the only real choice. And of course, Pokemon Ranger would also be super handy, because Turtonator's Shell Trap here, when you attack into it, you take 8 damage counters, enough to KO Trubbish. So you really do here want to be playing Pokemon Ranger so that you can either use it for Seismitoad, or you can use it to get around Shell Trap. So, let's look at some of the other key cards in this deck. Firstly, you've got Eco Arm. Eco Arm allows you to shuffle tools back into your deck. This is going to be absolutely crucial. You need as many tools as you can get. Each Eco Arm gets you 3 more of them. You really do need to be getting all of your tools back so that you can be attaching them and keeping going with Trubbish for as long as you want. Dimension Valley, I've already mentioned. It's just really useful for Trubbish. 2 energy on Trubbish is a real pain. You can use EXP share, as we're going to talk in a minute, but the problem is that can be gotten rid of with Field Blower, and then you don't have the energy to attack. Your A-Spec of choice here should be Life Dew, and the reason is incredibly simple. You're just using a basic with a single energy. I know you need to Stadium and a few other things, but you're fine here. So really here you want Life Dew. You're already hopefully taking KOs on EXs and GXs with a single prize Pokemon. If you can then use Life Dew so that your opponent actually doesn't take a KO when they KO a Trubbish, that is amazing. You want something even better than that? You can use Eco Arm to put Life Dew back into your deck. It's a Pokemon tool, and even though A-Specs are 1 per deck, you can use it potentially. You play 3 Eco Arm, you've got 4 Life Dew here. That is ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen, and an awful lot of fun. And you might want to consider playing Masquerain here. Now, the thing about Masquerain is it's super useful, but it's a stage 1 tech Pokemon. It will be hurting your consistency. And honestly here, you need to be playing Eco Arm. You need to be playing lots of tools. You need to be playing enough cards to get your Trubbish out. So, I love Masquerain, but remember it will hurt consistency. It's got the ability Tool Reversal, which just means that you can move your tools around your Pokemon as often as you like. And I suppose while we're talking about key cards, I should give a quick shout out to Rescue Stretcher and Super Rod here. One of the issues with this deck is that you've got 4 Trubbish and Garbodor, but whether you're attacking with Trubbish or Garbodor, you've only got 4 Trubbish. So you need to be recovering them as often as you can, using cards like Rescue Stretcher and like Super Rod. So, what tools do we want to play? That's the other thing we really need to look at here. So let's just go through a few of them, some tools that you want to be using. Floatstone allows you to retreat, get a Trubbish into the active, Sigilif's in the active, no worry, Floatstone to retreat. Tapu Lele's in the active, don't worry, Floatstone to retreat. Although as a side note, if you can set up without using Tapu Lele, you really need to try and do so, because this is a deck that relies on winning the prize trade, and if you leave a 2 prize Pokemon on your bench, that's going to be a bit of an issue when your opponent plays Guzma. You can use Muscle Band here to do 20 more damage to any Pokemon, and you can use Choice Band to do 30 more to an EX or a GX. And as much as the extra 30 is great, you need to be playing some Muscle Band here, because there's going to be things like Baby Volcanion, Hey Nick, Trevenant, etc. that you do need to be taking down, and the extra 20 is brilliant because Muscle Band does 20 more for your Tool Drop while doing 20 more because it is Muscle Band, so you're kind of adding 40 damage. It's great. I'm not saying don't play Choice Band, I'm just saying don't play Choice Band over Muscle Band. They're both good. Silver Mirror. Now this is very much a metagame call. You will not need Silver Mirror very often. But Silver Mirror makes you immune to Team Plasma Pokemon. It's great. Big issue here, there aren't really that many Team Plasma Pokemon seeing play in Expanded. The one relevant one that really is at the moment is Flareon, which is seeing play with Vespiquen. So if you're worried about decks like Flareon, pop it in. Otherwise, you could probably afford not to play it. EXP Share is a great card. Yes, I know it's vulnerable to Field Blower, because seriously, if your opponent can only get rid of 2 tools, they're going to go after the EXP Share. But you're going to be playing a bunch of tools anyway. Your opponent's not always going to be able to get rid of them, and you're not always going to have Dimension Valley in play. So using EXP Share, your Trubbish gets KO'd, it goes to a new Trubbish, you add a second energy, off you go. It's really, really nice. I've said how losing Trubbish can be a big issue here, so might I suggest Rescue Scarf. Trubbish gets KO'd, you get Trubbish back. That could be absolutely crucial to stop you running out of Trubbish. And of course, your ace-spec of choice, Life Dew. We don't need to go into it, I've talked about it, it's great. 2 which I do not recommend are Head Ringer and Jamming Net. Head Ringer and Jamming Net are 2 Team Flare tools that you can attach to your opponent's Pokemon. That's right, you can put tools on their side of the field. Head Ringer means that their attacks cost more, and Jamming Net means they do less damage. Going to be really quick about this. A lot of decks are not playing any EXs at the moment. These can only be put on EXs. They ain't worth the space in your deck. They used to be great, but they're not anymore. If you're not playing against an item lock deck, and you're not playing against something playing Startling Megaphone, this is a great deck, ladies and gentlemen. Item lock can be got around with things like the ability lock Garbodor and Pokemon Ranger, and honestly, if you play Eco Arm and you play carefully, even Startling Megaphone might not be the end of the world. But here's the thing, these are issues for Trubbish. Once you bring in Garbodor as well, you've got 2 powerful attackers, you've got plenty of options. I think this is a real force to be reckoned with and Expanded. A lot of people aren't talking about it, so I thought, you know what? In comes Wassy. But I want to know what you think about this deck. Chuck it down in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. There's going to be a PTCGO live stream at 7 PM UK time on Thursday. Come and join in. And actually, while we're talking about this, there's going to be an Overwatch stream at 7:30 PM UK time on Wednesday. So come and play with that as well. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus pods, etc., you can do so at patreon.com/PTCGRadio. Check it out, it's fun. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.